Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm so glad you're here. My name's Kelsey Derringer, and I am the Professional Development Coordinator for BirdBrain Technology. So that means that I get to work with teachers all over the world to help them learn coding and robotics and to help them teach coding and robotics. But it's not just me here today. We also have our director and producer, Matt. How's it going, Matt?
It's going well. How are you doing, Kelsey?
I am doing great. What are you up to there, Matt?
Well, I'm going to be monitoring the Facebook questions that are going to be coming in. So if anybody out there in Facebook world wants us to interact with them, please ask away.
That's right. So we're going to be monitoring those Facebook chats live. So if you like something somebody said, you want to shout out, you have a question, you have a way that you want to participate, you can type that out on Facebook and still be part of our discussion here on Zoom, because it's not just me and it's not just Matt. We have a whole host of teachers who are joining us here on Zoom today. Do you guys want to wave hello? Hello. We have teachers from all over the country here. Teachers who, work with all different age groups, some classroom teachers, some librarians, some makerspace teachers, and we're all here excited to talk about creative robotics, remote coding and remote robotics, and kind of, I think a lot of teachers here are thinking about ways to bring creative robotics into the classroom in this new world that we're in. So I think, I was talking with Cody just a minute ago, and he said that his summer classes have been canceled this year. And then a couple other folks have been saying, like, our summer classes are on, but they're virtual. So how do we do this virtually, And so it looks like we have one quick question or comment coming in from Facebook. What do we got, Matt?
Sorry, yeah, it looks like Joshua wants to know what the square root of 9 is. I think he's testing us to see if this is actually live.
Joshua, I don't know. That's a big question. Square root of 9. Anybody here on Zoom? Does anybody know the square root of 9? And if so, unmute yourselves or hold it up maybe. Hey, yeah, we got it. See, Josh, we're live. Great. But I'd love to open up the discussion today among us by just telling everybody what we did yesterday. So yesterday here on Zoom and in our class, we had students who were joining us live, and they got to play this really cool game, this mini golf game. So we had this little character named Gunther, and Gunther actually talks as well. Hi there, Gunther. How's it going? Hey, man, I heard that you were having some trouble yesterday. You were trying to play mini golf, but you couldn't get the ball in the hole. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So this is what we did yesterday with students. We had them interact with this mini golf game in a couple of different ways. One way is that they could, using Microbit Classroom, they could create some code. We would download it onto a Microbit, and then I would walk over to the studio, and I would take whatever code they had downloaded onto their Microbit and put it into the Hummingbirds, which are hanging out on the back of these projects here. So the kids were coding our two different obstacles in the back of the classroom. But then they could also interact with the arm, the moving arm that could aim the ball. So they could code that live as well. So they could use their aim that little arm around, and when they were ready, give it a go. And so close. Good try, Matt. Or Gunther, I should say. I'll put that back up there. So they had a couple of different ways to interact with that. So that was the game that we had created for students to use yesterday. And it was based on a game that you can find on our projects page on our website. And I'll share that with you in just a moment. But before I do, I wonder if we could go to the panel here, you folks who are live here on Zoom. And can you guys tell us about some games that you've created with students? So, and has anyone ever done any physical game design with students, having them like try to get a ball in a hole or something like that? Or digital game design with students? If so, can you tell us about it? Has anyone ever, Sam, yeah, go ahead, Sam. Make sure you unmute yourself, yeah. There you go.
Hey, there's this robot that Robotical makes, and it has a kicking motion. So we set up a game where it was like a soccer game, and they had to have their robot move in the correct position and then wind back their foot and then and then give the soccer ball a big boot into the goal. So that was kind of more of a sporty game design rather than a mini golf. So I'm anxious to learn some different techniques and things you can add for a more of a mini golf design.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun game. I was making a little bit of a fool of myself yesterday because I don't really know what it's called when you like get the ball in the hole in golfing. And I was like, when they scored a goal, that's not what when they got a birdie, an eagle. I don't know what the things are called. Sam, do you know what it's called when you get the ball in the hole?
Like on which try, I guess it depends on the.
Yeah, I know, right? Cody says hole in one, which I guess is what we're really doing with this because they get one shot and it goes in. So I guess I could have called it a hole in one, but I was just when you get a touchdown with the ball.
The other game design idea we did is we took a Sphero and we had a dartboard, and it had different points on the dartboard. And so they had to code the Sphero spark to roll forward and then to stop like as close to the bullseye as possible.
So we had on the floor?
And it was on the floor. Yeah, it was a printout of a dartboard on the floor, colored. And then they had to work as a team to add up the points after 5 rolls or 10 rolls. So they had to be very exact with their code. And we did like a Sphero Olympics where there were different events, and that was just one of them that come to mind. We had like a bowling thing too that was a lot of fun.
Really
and they would
fun.
keep track of their bowling score. I know nothing about how to score bowling games, so that was I was learning from them.
Now that's a sport I know a lot about. Bowling, that's my high point for sports. But that sounds like a combination of like shuffleboard and like the squeegee rock one. Guys, I'm at a loss for sports terminology.
I am too.
Curling. There we go, yes. Curling. Squeegee rock, that's what that's called. Anyway, but I had referenced that this mini golf game came off of our website. So this is our teach page or our projects page for Hummingbird. And so on this page, we have so many different projects. And these may look a little bit familiar to those of you who've been watching our webinars because we've been taking things off of this page and making them into webinars. So we've done moving masterpieces, which transforms famous works of art into moving robotic projects. If I scroll down a little bit, here's miniature golf. So if you go here, there's actually a great little video of students' projects working and the miniature golf things that they design. Also note, teachers, when you're videoing your students' projects, turn the thing to the side and it makes for a really great video. You can capture more. But so you can see they were like playing mini golf. So in this one, the kids were physically hitting the ball, and the kids and the learning was that they were designing the obstacles for them to get through. So there's some really, really fun obstacles, all made out of like cups and boxes and cardboard, things like that. And then underneath here, for all of our projects, we have all kinds of support materials that go along with that. So this has even a nice little printable things that go along with it. There's even sometimes some more teacher materials available on even than this. So that's just one of the projects on our teach page. But if I can kind of open the discussion up a little bit, mini golf is just one kind of game that we could design. But think about games that you've played, everything from like badminton to online games that you or your students or kids have played. When you're designing a game, I'm going to throw out one example of this, but then I'd love to hear some other, like, what are some principles that we should probably design around? For example, I think a really good game should be easy to learn, but hard to master, right? So for example, with this guy here, it was really easy to figure out how to aim the thing. You just use arrow keys to aim the thing, but it's kind of hard to master it, to actually get it to go in there. You've got to account for gravity. Did it go? No, sir, it did not. But you've got to account for gravity and the roll and the weight of this little ping pong ball here. You've got to account for the spinning blades and stuff. So mini golf, I think, is a really good example of that, of something that's easy to learn but hard to master. What other things do you think that what are features that games should have? Super open-ended question. What features should games have?
I find that kids respond better when some kind of art is incorporated in game design. So it excites them and helps them stay focused in the class. So that, and as you said, something that is easy to build but hard to master. So it frustrates them till they get it right. So that keeps the class more engaged and fun.
So giving them an opportunity to not just design the rules of the game and design the functionality of the game, but also design the look of the game. Is it cute? Is it scary? Is it orange? You know, like what, giving them an opportunity to design how the game is going to look as well. Yeah. And Cody, you had something in the chat. Do you want to say a little bit more about that?
Well, one thing that we had done in the past is we put tape on the floor and we did a maze. So it's nothing new, but it depends upon the sensor that they have. In this case, they had a line tracker sensor, so they could follow the tape. And actually, it was getting it to follow the tape all the time was tough. You know, and so they all knew they had to get into the maze and they had to get out of the maze. And that was all they had to do.
Yeah.
And
so,
it took them quite a while actually to do it.
So that one, I think, especially when you're asking kids to design and then design a game and or execute the thing that will complete the game, what you typed in the chat was that they just need a goal with some simple scaffolding. And I think that is a great place to start for game design. Like, you know, the goal is to get the ball in the cup and you've got to have a robotic piece that propels the ball. If you gave students just that, what they would need to come up with, they could come up with like this putter design that Matt came up with here. They could come up with something like that. Or maybe it's you're going to hit the ball and you've got to design an obstacle for the ball to get through, like mini golf. There's a lot of different ways that you could do that, but helping your students identify what is the goal the goal of your game, the one sentence, get the ball in the cup, and then some scaffolding around it of like what kinds of obstacles are you going to put in the way of that. Now, like in real golf, there aren't really so many obstacles, right? It's like a big open field and like a ball in a hole. Sometimes that's hard enough. I suppose there's like sand and depending on your state, crocodiles, things to navigate if you're golfing. But like helping, I think that's one of the biggest things when you're helping students through a design challenge is either giving them a goal and then leaving the scaffolding around that really open-ended, or if you want to leave it even more open-ended, sometimes they may need help identifying the goal of their game or their project. What is it that your whole game is designed around? They might get distracted by how it looks or something like that. So helping them zero in on that goal, that's great. Yeah. What else? Any other games that you guys have designed with students? Or if I bring it back to my more recent question, other like rules for game design. So far we have, it should be easy to learn, hard to master. It's great if there can be some art and design in it. And also your students should really know what their goal is and they may need your help to help them identify the goal there. What other rules of game design can we write right now?
Yeah, Heather.
I think that making levels so that you can level up in a game. You start with something pretty basic, but then add the complication as you go. That helps make it last longer.
Yeah, that's great. And encouraging your students to think of some kind of scaffolding where it's like, okay, this is the basic one, but how can we make it harder? That's fun. I like that. What else, Mike?
I know one thing I've observed people doing has to do with things like badges and achievements rolled into games, electronic badges, or you could have like a bottle cap or something like that if it's more of a physical game to help incentivize.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's we incorporated that in yesterday's lesson actually, because poor Gunther, he had told us that he had never ever scored a hole-in-one, not once, right? Nope, never had. And all he wanted was to score a hole-in-one so that he could pick a prize off the prize wall. And the prize that he had his eye on was a lowly kazoo. And he just wanted to be able to play a kazoo, but he'd never won and had never been able to play. And so what the kids were helping him to do was to pick this prize off the prize wall. And then they accomplished it, and then he was able to play a nice little kazoo song. Do you have your song, Gunther? We did it. We did it. We got it.
And
Right.
Casey, I was going to add too that there should definitely be a reward involved, and also to have some kind of and basically what Gunther did, some kind of like bells and whistles when they've achieved their goal, and there is a reward.
Yeah, some kind of like celebration for when the student or when the player has accomplished that. So in our mini golf game, I'm going to go show you that now. I'm not going to rely on the aiming thing. I'm just going to I'm going to shoot it with my hand through the castle here. Here we go. All right. Here's the castle. So you can see when it actually goes through, underneath there, when the ball goes through, these LEDs glow and flash a little bit. And actually, let me grab the castle. I'm going to bring it over to our workspace so we can investigate how that little reward system works. Because we didn't get a chance to do this like during the session yesterday, but I think it's really, really cool. So I'm going to grab a battery pack. There's one. Plug this guy in. And I just want to look at the inside of this. So Matt devised a really cool system that we use all the time in all kinds of different projects now. And the system is that, and if I go to my top down, you can see it here. You make an LED shine directly at a light sensor. So you can see coming out of here, here's the wire for the light sensor. Here's the wire for the LED coming out. So you get an LED to shine directly at a light sensor. And then I'll zoom out on this a little bit so you can see the whole project. And when the ball goes through here and it interrupts that light sensor here, that's what causes these tricolor LEDs to flash. So that really simple system, making an LED point right at a light sensor, can be used for something like mini golf. And there's also there's a little flag that comes up too. So when you break that thing, there's a little woohoo, there's a flag. But getting that like system of getting a light to point directly at a light sensor, and then when you interrupt that flow of light, that works really well for both a project like this, where getting a ball to cross that could be great. It's also great for like a feedable robot. If you wanted to do like the robot petting zoo, you could get an LED to shine directly at a light sensor, and when you like feed it with a piece of paper, then the bird flaps its wings or the puppy wags its tail or whatever it is. But that little system there is just like so simple, so genius, can be used in so many different ways. So to Ida's point of like there should be some kind of reward or celebration that could come in terms of prizes, but also like kids will work for LEDs, right? Like they will do the thing if they can get it to light up. Yes, that totally works for them as well. What other, Sam, what other kind of rules of game design would you put in?
Well, it's interesting because we're talking about like having like achievements and things that students want, but I guess what I was going to throw out there for the sake of discussion is just like, it's like we're talking about things, achievements, but we're not talking about, something that can either motivate some students, but they can shut down other students, which is competition. So it's like having something that students want to achieve and want to work towards, but when it becomes competitive and they're looking at someone else beside them and that other group is mastering it, but they have no idea what they're doing and they're not making any progress, and there's only one prize that can be won, then that's something that can be not be productive.
Yeah. So let me open that up to the group. When do you think competition is, and I'll hear from Marianne first, but something to think about, to start pondering, when is competition appropriate and when is it not? Like when can it be used effectively, and when does competition not serve your goals? So let me go to Marianne first. What did you have a question or something you wanted to say on that?
I guess from firsthand, because you know the hand that we've been building, the robotic hand that we were talking about, and it started out with just like being able to make a high five and then make a peace symbol, and then it was to pick up a wad of paper and then throw it into the trash can, which became like a basketball game. So we moved from what was reward for the kids is I was asking them, what else could we do with this hand? What else could we do with this hand? What do you think? And this is where they ended up. We're a science class and we're recycling and we're throwing the trash, the piece of trash into the trash can, and it became a game out of that. So sometimes kids find reward, and I find reward by watching them take it to the next level, giving them a chance to share their voice and how it's empowered them from doing the project more than a model into this higher level of robotics. And that's what I think Hummingbird has done for my classes. So I really appreciate it.
But sometimes that like competition or that leveling up doesn't have to be imposed. It often just happens naturally through engagement.
Well, yeah, and what I found is like it became like an interdependency where we were all kind of relying on each other to see, you know, how could we advance the hand. So the competition kind of went away, and it was like everybody working together to figure out what else we could do with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So it became, it evolved into not a competition, but a sharing of ideas and a sort of a humanhood of intellectual, you know, furthering.
Yeah.
A humanhood, not a brotherhood, not a sisterhood, a humanhood.
Yeah, humanhood, because some of them were using Chromebooks and some of them had laptops, and that depends if you could use the Snap versus the Microbit Classroom. So we had some trials and tribulations along the way. So it's kind of, it was good.
And it sounds like you guys came together around those as well, that like your students were helping each other to solve some of those problems too. Cool. So what do you guys think about this idea of competition? Like when does competition help and when does competition hurt in your classroom? What do you find? What do you think, Mike?
Well, at one point I had kind of a career day introducing people to technology jobs. And I came up with this game of standing up and sitting down to count from 0 to 15 in binary. So not robotics, but still technology related. And they really took to it. And I started writing the times of the different groups that passed through on the board. There was no prize associated with it. Everybody actually got a prize for participating. But they really got on each other to try to get that better time, even though there was no incentive other than they would just know that they were better, faster than the last group. So I think it became a friendly competition at that point rather than competing over a prize.
Yeah, there was nothing to be lost if you weren't the best, but there was something to be gained, and the thing to be gained was like bragging rights.
Props.
You know, of if you were the fastest group to do it. So I think, what's that? And yeah, it was for a group rather than an individual. So it's something that the group could take pride in together versus like one person who's just like, I'm the best, you know? And I think that is an interesting element of competition in a classroom. Is there something to be gained? Is there something to be lost if you don't win the competition, you know? So I think that's an interesting example, Mike. That's cool. What else? What do you guys think about the role of competition in the classroom? What do you think, Marianne?
We use something called, and I got this from like the Robotics First in Robotics League, where you talk about gracious professionalism in the classroom. So it's not always about being like wanting up somebody, but how you all kind of come together to work together to keep moving forward, you know? So that's kind of a cool concept to teach in science.
Yeah, and can you say that term again? Something of professionals. What was that? Oh, you're muted. Sorry, can you unmute again?
Sorry. It's called gracious professionalism, because oftentimes in sports we are taught, especially like if you think of a soccer field and take them out, all that stuff. But this is a different mentality where you're coming together to do robotics ideas where you're all sort of working together to help everyone achieve and move up. And more minds make it greater instead of just one mind being the best.
I love that that idea, and even introducing a word like professionalism to students early on. Like not that we're all little like workers or anything like that, but that like we're going to treat each other like colleagues. From second grade on, from a young age, treat each other like we're here to learn from and make with each other. That sounds really great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Cody just put something in the chat that I'd love for you to share a little bit more about. Do you want to share this thought that you've got, Cody? Because I think I really agree with it.
Oh, well, it's just basic classroom procedure. The students, we do team building first in larger groups, and there is no idea of competition for anything. And then their first project is still, there's no competition. It's just, they're learning how to use everything and do everything. And the competition part usually falls into place with them. They start saying, hey, look at ours. Ours is really working. They start comparing their projects to each other. And that's when they kind of put the competition into it. I don't necessarily do that. Maybe at the end of the whole term, whether it's a robotics camp or it's a classroom, towards the end is when you introduce the idea of a competition.
Yeah.
And then the kids, they don't back away because their confidence is already there.
Yeah. I think that the timing of competition is so very important, because starting out your year or your classroom or your students' experience with something with a competition, in my experience, starting with a competition only serves to make the fast kids feel faster and make the slow kids feel slower. And it serves to they already have an idea about who they are as a student. They get that early. They come into kindergarten with that sometimes, and whoever gets it done first is probably the kid who usually gets it done first, but if you use the competition, when should it be used? Probably not their first thing that they do with coding or robotics or something. Probably shouldn't be competitive, but something that they do later on after they've learned how to do it, after they've worked with a group, after they've tried and failed with a couple things, after they've seen and learned from their peers in a few different ways. Competition can be a great sort of culminating thing, but in my experience, it's definitely starting with it shuts down the students who already feel challenged and makes the students who it just sort of serves to widen the gap a little bit when you do it first off. So what about I want to bring in this idea when we talk about game design. A lot of games involve taking turns. Just super open-ended question. When it comes to game design, what are some rules about taking turns that you think would be important to maybe convey to your students as you're designing this game? We want you to think about X when you're taking turns.
At least in my classes, I used a round robin model. I used to put them in separate groups of 5, and I'll say the youngest goes first this time, and then take it from there from the youngest to the oldest, and next turn it'll be the oldest to youngest and everyone in between. So it worked out fine. So they learn from older.
So you make sure everybody gets a turn, and then you're also ensuring that the students with the least experience kind of get to go first, so that they maybe don't feel intimidated. That's nice.
Experience doesn't matter. One other thing that I emphasize in the classes is to eliminate the fear of programming. So I encourage them to make mistakes, and everyone who makes mistakes and tries to correct it gets a brownie point. So they were, I think that kind of motivated the class and to work more on difficult problems. And also it took the fear out. And when the fear is not there, the younger kids, they kind of talk or interact better with older kids, and the older kids don't mind. It's not always the case, but most of the times it works that way. So yeah, I think taking the fear out and encouraging them to interact with each other and having like, some method to have everyone, you know, let everyone have a turn to work on helps.
I always say that, like, if you're not working to decrease inequity, you're probably only serving to widen it in your classroom. So I really love that in your classroom, Lavi, that you know that students may come in with some kind of intimidation about coding or programming.
Hello,
You're
sweetheart.
actively working to overcome that. That's nice. Although I have also seen teachers, I used to teach an after-school STEM program, and I would train teachers, and some of them would start off where they themselves were pretty intimidated, and they would start off the class with, all right, kids, this is going to be really hard. Some of you are going to fail at it, and I bet you're really scared right now. And I was just like, no, like, you don't have to implant that idea. There's a fine line. And Lavi, I mean, it sounds like you're a really experienced like librarian and teacher, but like knowing that there are in the back of your head that like there are kids that are going to come in and be intimidated by this, and doing everything you can to set up a culture and a classroom where failure is celebrated, where mistakes are learned from, where collaboration is the key, but not like introducing the idea that you are scared of this and you will probably fail and I know you'll feel bad about it, but like, there's a line to walk there. Any other thoughts about turn taking in terms of game design? Yeah, Marianne.
I was just going to say, one of the projects that we did, we had to make like the rock cycle using like an Ozobot. And I knew that they were going to fail at it some, as well as be successful at it sometimes. And so we actually tracked our failures and our actual successes on an index card. And then we wrote about it afterwards. And so it was really interesting, like ahead of time, predicting how many times were you going to fail at this? How many times do you think we're going to fail at it? How many times do you think we're actually going to be successful? And to do that ahead of time so that they know that there is going to be failure, and failure is a first like attempt in learning, kind of thing like that.
Yeah. I think that managing expectations for students is really, really smart. I always do that when I'm like, for the first time when I'm working with educators, having them plug in an LED and they've got to use the little orange like tool. And I'm like, listen, the first time you do this, you're going to feel dumb, and that's okay. The second time, you're going to know what you're doing. The third time, you're going to feel like a pro. But like kind of managing that expectation, right? Or what's the one? There's something where I'm like, it's going to take you 5 tries to do this right. Oh, it's when when you're using the new Finch 2.0. It's got this really cool little marker hole on the top of it here, where you can put in a Crayola marker like this. And you can like put a Crayola marker right in the top there, and it'll stick out the bottom so that you can draw with it, which is pretty cool. But it takes a little bit to get it at just the right height where it doesn't make your Finch pop a wheelie, and it actually draws on the paper. And so, thank you. I just try to always manage expectations of like, okay, so you're going to put it in there, and you're going to pop it through, and then you're going to set it down, and that's going to be wrong. And then try it again, and bring it down, and that's going to be wrong too. It's going to take you 5 tries, all right? After 5 tries, then you can start getting frustrated, but you're not allowed to get frustrated within that. So I think like managing students' expectations of like what that's going to be like, that can be really effective too.
Somehow I found some little kid on YouTube that was celebrating his failures. He was doing something and he was failing. He was like, oh, I messed up, and like I showed that to my 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And I'm like, I want you to watch this little kid celebrate the fact that he's getting it wrong, and then see what happens if he finally gets it right. And so that was really fun to show them so that they could kind of laugh at themselves when it didn't go right.
That's nice. That's nice. I think this is a bigger topic, but it could be a really robust part of conversation. There's 2 things I want to do before we end today. I want to have you guys try to play some mini golf so you can see what that interaction is like. And then I also I think it might be a good conversation to have about helping students deal with failure. I think that's something that every time I talk with teachers, like coding and robotics, like you're not going to get it right on the first try. And if you did, then it probably wasn't hard enough for you, you know, and this is a bigger topic than just coding and robotics. But does anybody have some initial thoughts that you'd like to offer on that, about how to help your students manage their feelings when they try something and it doesn't work?
What I do with my students is I give them examples such as Henry Ford, because, you know, it was, I think, after 10,000 tries, you know, he was successful and he saw them as an opportunity. I also share with them Elon Musk and all the, you know, I try to give them people, names of people who had a lot of quote unquote failures, but they saw them as opportunities, and they grew and made amazing products. So
Yeah.
that's what I share with my students.
That's great. How about you, Sam?
I always think it's important to model and like with your own life and your own stories, and so it's not like, you know, failure is something that you can overcome and deal with, but I don't personally fail, so you know, so I don't have that problem. When you get to that Jedi level, you'll know it. It's more like letting them see when you fail in the moment, and owning that in a way that's professional and respectful and kind, but also telling your story, you know. So it's not like, I think sometimes kids and adults too, we read these stories and we think, well, I could never be like this person. But like, a failure and then learning from failures is a very human experience, you know, for everyone. And everyone has to face it on a daily basis. So helping them see like it's okay, and it's not something to shut down over, but it's something to that actually can help you grow the most. You know, there's that quote that people quote all the time that success is a very poor teacher, or something. I'm probably misquoting it, but the failure teaches you a lot, and it really does. And it teaches you, you know, our kids need perseverance, they need grit, they need to know how to stick with things. That's going to help them throughout life. So I really try to share and just model and just live like this is failure, and we're here, and that's okay. What should we do next?
And what you're talking about, like modeling failure and modeling how you work through it, so that you don't like, oh, slam your fists on the table and stomp out of the room or whatever it is, but like you're like, oh, well, that didn't work. Like you model how to work through that. And then I think it's also really important to model how to support someone through that too, so that when you see a kid fail, you say, oh, I hear you. How are you feeling? Yeah, that's frustrating. You know, do you need to grab a drink? Okay, then let's come back and let's keep working through this, you know, and that you model for kids how to support other kids through that. You know, I think modeling plays a big part here. Yeah, Marianne.
I think it's a hard struggle for kids like in this middle age, because we attach everything to grades, right? So you're asking them to take a risk, and then their risk may fall short, but yet they got to be evaluated on it. And right now we're all trying to calculate our grades because it's towards the end of the year, and they got pressure from home, pressure from society, pressure from, oh, will I get into the high school that I need to get into, you know, and what track will I be tracked? You know, it's all these things. And so I think the conversation needs to be like, we need to change our mindset into what we're asking of kids, so that they can take those next steps forward to be, you know, these jobs that we don't even know that we're preparing them for yet.
Yeah. Grading their sort of performance rather than their practice that's always really hard to do. Like, how do you, well, I've got to collect so many points throughout the year, and you know, some districts get really kind of sort of in your business about what you have, how many points you have to collect. I remember that was my first teaching job, was I was like, yeah, I was, very passionate young teacher. I'm only gonna collect a few grades throughout the year, and the rest, it's gonna be completion and stuff like that. And I quickly got swooped in on, and they said, no, you have to have at least like 500 points for the semester. And I was like, well, I could just double everything, I guess. And they're like, no, you need to be collecting grades all the time. And I was just like, what? What book did you get that out of? Because I read different ones in college.
Right.
I was so mad and so 23 about the whole thing. Anyway, but like that question of like, how do you encourage kids to fail and make it safe for them to fail is tough.
Yeah, and like when you think of that hand that we talked about, like everybody's hand looked different. It could have looked sloppy, but it worked. How do you score that? Do you know, like, and then everybody wants a rubric, but then does that get them stuck in a framework of this rubric? And then what if they can go beyond that, but they're so fixed on the rubric, So it's tough.
Yeah. And Nisha had something too that they put in the chat. And if you'd like to unmute and tell us your idea, Nisha, we'd love that. But if you don't feel comfortable unmuting, that's okay too.
Hello everyone. So I always do my best to design very simple exercises for the for the newcomers. So this helps them to do the complete the exercise successfully, and they feel they feel victorious at the end of the exercises. So so this is my idea to get them used to the kids. And also I have seen so many kids, I have asked so many kids, and how do you feel comfortable in using this robotics, are you interested? And most of the kids say no. And I think that there is we need a push from as teachers, we need to push these children, those kind of children, to try it once or twice, so that after trying it once or twice, they would be able to make it up, whether they would be interested in it in future, or they wouldn't be. So I think we as a teacher, we should give them equal opportunities, or just pushing them to try it once or twice. So when I used to deliver this program at the library, I used to ask the parents, would they be interested in sending their kids to a robotic program. Usually most of the parents would be interested in sending their kids, but when I ask the kids, they say they stay there for some 15 to 20 minutes, and after that they leave. So I think so there should be a push from at least the teachers, or from the parents for the compelling the children to try it once or twice, so that if they don't get victorious, or if they are not interested anymore, we can leave them free. So
Yeah.
I think as teachers, or as parents, at one point of time, we should give them a little push on what they should try. And I think I feel that we lack. We are not good in pushing our children, or to try them once or twice to know their interest.
And I love your idea too of making sure that the first couple things that you do with students are easy enough that they can feel that success. So especially for those students who think oh, I'm not the kind of kid who will do great at this. Well, listen, this first activity, everybody's going to succeed at it. That's why I love teaching Tiny Drummer, because there's really not a way to fail with it. Maybe you don't have enough time, but I think it's really great to, in your first activities you're doing with students, make sure that those first few activities are fun, creative, and that they also have an opportunity for them to succeed. So our Tiny Drummer project, I just love this little thing. Almost every time anyone has ever done this little project, they've just loved it, So he's just a little guy. He drums on an upside down cup. It's one motor in the back of the little, cardboard platform here. And it just drums. And I always tell people okay, now this is the basic design, but now make it weird. And and they do. And it's great. Sync it up to your favorite song, and it really does make a nice little sound there. So I think giving them a simple project, especially when we've got our kiddos, and right now they are dealing with so much. And one of the questions that we have is is this project too easy for a sixth grader? Well, some of the feedback that we've gotten from some sixth graders is yeah, and that was good. I didn't need to be challenged every hour of every day because I'm stuck at home with my 3 little brothers, and some things are pretty uncertain about my life right now. So it's fine if this is a little bit easy for me. But it's still kind of challenging them to persist and to try something new and to feel successful at it too. Ida had a quick question for you, Nisha. Do you want to ask her your question, Ida?
Yes, please.
And you're muted, Ida, so make sure you unmute yourself.
Okay, here we go. Okay, thank you. Yes, I was just curious because I do a lot of research in STEM and engaging students, and I was wondering, do you ever ask them, do a follow up to find out, why they're leaving, why they're staying there for say 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and then what their thoughts are, so that maybe you can address it, and it might be a better way for them to return. I'm just curious about that. I know I've done some research where they talk about how the teachers, how if a teacher doesn't have a background in STEM, that they might not encourage it as much as is needed, and they might not feel as confident, and some of that rubs off on the students. So I just thought I would ask some of those questions, because I'm very interested in that.
Actually, this happened in the when I applied for a Finch robot grant. I mean Finch robot loan, and on behalf of the San Jose Public Library at San Jose, California. So, and we organized, we got the grant and we organized the program at 3 branches. So we selected the branches accordingly. Depending upon where we have the low income community concentration. Where most of our low income community is concentrated on. So we selected on to deliver these program at 3 branches. So when I went, and since I was delivering, I was not the one who delivered the program, because I was organizing the program, and I used the volunteers of the library to facilitate the program to the kids. And most of the people, most of the volunteers, they were not comfortable in doing a robotic program, or in facilitating a robotic program for the community. So the best I could do was I was able to work with a group of high school volunteers who was interested in delivering the program. So since the high school volunteers, they are so small to to make the kids feel comfortable, and also I found it was not very effective. The high school students were very great. They delivered the program the program was very good, but the thing is that they were not able to give individual attention to each and every child. So, and when a child was in help, and we had a low number of volunteers for a group of 15 or 20 children. And the problem was it's good that some of the parents volunteer themselves to be with the children, to take care of their children and also work with the children. So this way we encouraged, we improved the parental engagement. It was very good. But for the children, those who doesn't have parents with them, those who are not comfortable in having their parents with them, they suffered a lot. And within 15 or 20 minutes, they lost interest in the program, and they just they wanted to leave. So I insisted them being at the program for some time, but it didn't help.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the amount of support that you have in the classroom can really affect student engagement like that.
And see, I thought that, I thought, Nisha, I thought you were at a school library. That's why I asked the question. I didn't realize that that I understand now. Being a librarian, and being having a lot of years as a public librarian, and knowing that when you have, say, workshops and stuff, that students, that the children, some of them are interested, some of them aren't, and so I certainly understand now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. I that is why I just understood the robotic program would be the best when it is delivered at a school setup rather than at a public library setup. So where we have no hold on the participants. If the program is to be delivered at a school setup, where we have a captured audience, or
Right.
the program would serve its best.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Your environment really definitely matters for that. I do want to be conscious of time though. We've just got a couple minutes left, and I did want to give one of you folks a chance to play our robot mini golf game so that you could see what that interaction was like. And we'd been talking with Lavi before we started. Would you like to be the person to, and oh, they might have had to head out actually. Oh, are they? Oh, okay, great. Oh, good, they're there. So Lavi, would you like to be the person to play our mini golf game today?
Of course. Yes.
All right, okay. Are you on a laptop, by the way, or a Chromebook?
Yeah, I have a Mac right now. Is that okay?
Okay, perfect. This experience doesn't work well on a, it doesn't work correctly on a Chromebook, but it does work on on a laptop. So what Matt is going to do is he shared his screen and he's going to give you remote control, Lavi. So then just click on the screen with your mouse, and then you will have remote control of his computer. Yeah, exactly. So Lavi is controlling that mouse now. And so you can see that there's some code built with the left arrow key, the right arrow key, and the space bar. So hit your left and right arrow keys and see what that does to our little, there you go. Can you see it moving the little robotic arm with the golf ball on it? Yeah. So see if you can aim that, and I'm going to scooch this a little more on screen here. There we go. So see if you can aim it. We'll give you 3 shots. See if you can get it in one of the, either the castle or the windmill hole. See if you can do it. And then to shoot it, you hit the space key. Oh, so close. Little far to the left. Oh no.
Okay,
Matt's being beat up by the mini golf course. All right, give it another go. Re-aim there a little bit. You're a little to the left. So maybe make it go a little further to the right. I believe in you.
See. It looks okay.
Oh, so close, so close. A little further to the right and you'll have it. I'm sure of it. We'll put the ball back on there. I believe in you.
Let the force be with me.
Oh, so close, so close. We'll pop it in there. Wow, there we go. It's stuck. So that's one of the ways that we did remote coding yesterday, using Snap on our computer here, and then sharing our screen and giving students remote code so that they could actually play the game. And then the other thing we did is we used Microbit Classroom. So if you haven't checked out Microbit Classroom, it is so easy to use. You can be up and running your first class in Microbit Classroom in like 15 minutes. It's super simple. It's really, really a cool interaction. Before we go, I want to let some people know about some resources that you can access while you are at home learning or at home teaching, so that you and your students can be programming. Whether you have a Hummingbird and your students have a Hummingbird, or whether just you have a Hummingbird, there are some great resources for you to access. So as always, you can reach out to us and tag us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at BirdBrain Tech or hashtag Hummingbird Kit. If you have any questions about anything, you can feel free to email us, info@birdbraintechnologies.com. And also, if you haven't checked it out, there is a great set of resources on our Robotics at Home page. So our live classes are there. We are going to get live classes up for next week and the following 5 weeks very soon. So check that out early next week, and you can kind of plan out your next few weeks with you and or your students. We have student-focused live classes and teacher-focused live classes each week. We've got some really fun topics coming up, things like robotic memories, robot parade float, lots of cool things coming up that you should check out. And also, there are some courses on there to help you get started with your Hummingbird too. There's also a way for you to purchase a Hummingbird to have right there at your house. And then finally on that page, there is our remote robotics page, where your students can just log on there and they can be programming for themselves very quickly. So if I go to our at home page, just to show you where to locate these resources, remote robots, this is where your students could. These robots are up and running in Tom's house right now, and I'll zoom in on this page so you can see there's a dragon, there's a gnome. Let's say I want to program the dragon. I just click on that there, And it is so easy to connect your robot. You hit C to connect. And then if I want to click this program, I could. Now it takes 10 or 15 seconds. There's a little delay there, but your students can interact with all kinds of code from right there on the screen. And you can see it after 10 or 15 seconds, that dragon will actually do whatever the code is that I coded it to do. There we go. It's chomping its mouth, and I'm controlling that right now. That's in Tom's house, which is a couple miles away, and I'm controlling that from right here in my studio. And your students can do that too from this remote robotics page. And they can change the code, they can alter it, and it won't break anything. They can code this robot to do whatever they want it to do. Definitely want to point out those resources on our page. So thank you guys all here on Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciated the discussion that we were able to have and that y'all facilitated. I hope that you guys can join us again next week for our, I believe next week we are doing Robot Garden. And so we are going to be making and programming a robotic garden with students on Thursday, and then talking about the classroom connections about that on Friday. So we're going to end our live stream here, but if you would like to hang out on Zoom, if you have any other questions, you certainly can. So thanks everybody. Bye Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us today. We can't wait to see what you make on social media. On Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, you can tag @BirdBrainTech or #HummingbirdKit. Or you can even tag me. If you have any questions, be sure to email us, info@birdbraintechnologies.com. We can answer questions about purchasing, about learning, about teaching, and about professional development. If you haven't been there yet, be sure to visit our Robotics at Home page. There you can purchase a kit for yourself, learn how to use it, and even join one of our upcoming webinars. Until we see you in class, thanks for watching from everyone at BirdBrain Technologies.